Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're taking a look at Game 1 of the semifinals of Shadow's YouTuber tournament between myself and JonTaun of Total Brohammer. I've got the vampire counts and he's got lizardmen, so let's go ahead and take a look at the army compositions. I decided to bring a Master Necromancer because I wanted to go on the ground in terms of my lord and everything, and I also figured that JonTaun would be bringing a High Slon, so I didn't want to go with Terrorgeist, and so I figured I should have a wider army, so we got nice and cheap for the Master Necromancer. We've got a Banshee, Mortis Engine, and Corpse Cart with the Unholy Lodestone. 2 units of Blood Knights out to the flanks, with the Varix Reavers and Dire Pack here in the center. We've also got Skeleton Spearmen mixed with Skeleton Warriors for the front line. And over here we do have Vanguard deployed, 1 unit of Dire Wolves. For JonTaun's army, he's got 2 units of Temple Guard, High Slon, so definitely glad I didn't bring any flying units, or at the very least a Flying Lord. Saurus Scarvet, 2 of those, 1 on a Carnosaur and 1 just on a Cold One. 5 units of Saurus Warriors with shields and a single Chameleon Skink. Not the most imaginative build in the world, but it definitely is competitive, I would say. So yeah, we'll go ahead and kick the battle into full gear, and it's going to be tough for me. As long as I can protect my Mortis Engine, I'll be able to drain away most of the Lizardmen infantry relatively well. So that's going to be my my #1 goal, is to try and protect the Mortis Engine for as long as possible, because my infantry is not going to have the offensive power to deal with the Saurus Warriors and the Temple Guard, and I mean, obviously I don't want my Blood Knights getting tangled up with the Temple Guard. That won't be effective at all. So JonTaun just kind of moving over to this flank here, going to be setting up kind of this way. And so we're going to go ahead and start pushing forward here. You can see I'm just kind of scouting around, trying to see if I can spot any Chameleon Skinks or anything. We did spot this group, but I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything else around. So going to come in. I believe this was a misclick on this attack order. I don't know if I actually meant to throw in my Direwolves there, but you can see the Direwolves with their 0 armor are just going to get completely crushed by those Saurus Warriors. So I don't remember 100% if that was intentional or if that was a misclick, but I am going to pretty much lose out that unit of Direwolves. That being said, the Blood Knights are coming in. I was going to get a charge in there, but the Temple Guard are on station, so we decided to pull back away. Meanwhile, over on this side, you can see Saurus Warriors coming into the front line, making contact with Skeleton Spearmen. Again, Saurus Warriors with their 50 total weapon strength will just get in here and beat the brakes off these skeletons, no question about it. So it's just a matter of time. For me, I have to bring in my Mortis Engine to start get the healing and the drain effects going. You can see we're collapsing from this side with Blood Knights and Hounds, Varix Reavers, and more. And yeah, unfortunately the Varix Reavers not getting the best charge there. And it does look like upgraded Invocation of the Heck being dropped in his pocket to heal up all these guys. Trying to stick the Banshee to the Saurus Scarvet, but I do have to be careful. The Slon has magic attacks, so if he comes over here and starts smacking the Banshee around, she'll take quite a bit of damage there. So you can see we brought in Blood Knights and all this other stuff trying to get in on this Saurus Scarvet, but he's just not taking any damage whatsoever. Looks like Arcane Unforging also going to be going down on the Banshee, so that direct magic damage obviously is going to do a lot against the Banshee. And yeah, we're just not able to get in contact with that Saurus Scarvet. Meanwhile, I'm trying to bring in my Blood Knights in a position to get in. I should have just gone up and around to try and get in the backside here, but now we're going to just get in a straight charge here with the Blood Knights. They're going to make some contact here, but the issue is the Blood Knights have really poor armor piercing values. You can see they did almost no damage there to that Saurus Scarvet, and the biggest issue is their AP. So if we look here, Blood Knights, they actually have, I believe, yeah, only 11 AP, which for an elite tier heavy shock cavalry is pretty bad. Most Blood Knights have in the area, or sorry, most elite tier cavalry have in the area of like 12 to 14, I would say. So yeah, the lack of AP is really gonna hurt me there. You can see the Banshee did take some damage. It has stabilized somewhat, though. We're trying to collapse over on this flank, just wherever that Saurus Scarvet goes. We're trying to follow up with the Blood Knights, but there, JonTaun pulls through his Saurus Warriors, blocking the charge there, and then immediately just pulls away. This is another big issue that I find with quite a bit of the heavy cavalry in the game, and it's one of the issues with monster mashing in the game, is that heavy cavalry can't pin in a monster like a Saurus Scarvet. Like, they just don't have the mass to. The Saurus Scarvet has so much mass that he can literally just push through the cavalry, and it's almost impossible to pin him down. So yeah, it's gonna be tough for me. You can see I'm summoning up some zombies. We do still have the Mortis Engine online, so we've been able to drain out quite a few of these Saurus warriors in the center. Balance power still pretty even at this point. Another Arcane Forging though going down on the Banshee, and she is gonna go down. You can see that the Saurus Scarvet had taken some damage from her, but the other one on the Carnosaur, more importantly, is still completely healthy. Again, we're going to be bringing around the Blood Knights here. Unfortunately, the Anvil just crumbled away, but we are going to get some damage done on these Saurus Warriors. But again, just not able to get on the Scarvet himself. It's going to be an issue. At this point, we do still have Temple Guard, both units of Temple Guard actually, over on this side holding out. So, despite the fact that most of the Saurus have been dealt with relatively effectively, the Temple Guard are still a huge danger, and obviously this Saurus Scarvet as well. But so far, so good. We've been able to mostly break up the center line there, and yeah, a lot of those Saurus did rally, unfortunately, once the terror wore off from that Mortis Engine there. But yeah, we're just trying to pull back the Blood Knights. Looks like summoning up some more zombies here just to keep these Saurus Warriors pinned in. And now going to be coming back with the Blood Knights again, just trying desperately to get on top of this Saurus Scarvet. Whereas he's standing on the Saurus Warriors, though, it'll be a lot harder for my Blood Knights to get hits in there. They're just going to end up getting hits on the Saurus Warriors instead. And just look how little damage the Saurus Scar Veteran's taking. It's almost ridiculous when you think about it, that this elite tier heavy shock cavalry that has an anti-large bonus just can't seem to get any damage done on a large monster. It seems, you know, from a roll standpoint, to be pretty silly, if you ask me. But yeah, you can see the Temple Guard pushing through with the Slann. I'm not sure I really have what it takes. I have mostly large units at this point. I mean, if we can maybe summon up some zombies and keep things pinned in place long enough to drain them out with the Mortis Engine, maybe we can come back. But now, finally, we're getting a little bit of damage done to the Saurus Scarvet here. But of course, Lizardmen have so much healing. All that work we did to do that damage is just going to get counteracted. Likewise with the Saurus Scarvet, all the damage that the Banshee had done to him just gets counteracted by the healing. So yeah, it's the 9 lives of the Lizardmen is a little bit of a pain to deal with, and I honestly wouldn't mind it at all if they just removed Cold-Blooded completely, because the Lizardmen already have enough healing mechanics that they really don't need Cold-Blooded. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I honestly think they could remove Cold-Blooded or change it to a non-healing effect, and that would probably help the Lizardmen be a lot better balanced. You can see them coming in here. These Blood Knights have gotten up to their healing cap, or no, sorry, those are the Varix Reavers. I mean, at this point, there's just so many Temple Guard here. I have mostly large units. Looks like a Banishment going to be dropped, and may end up actually doing more friendly fire than good here. But yeah, it actually doesn't end up doing much damage at all to anyone. But yeah, you can see the balance power starting to tip against me. The Master Necromancer's in trouble because the Blood Knights are having to flee away from the Temple Guard, and we're just not able to chase off routing units effectively because I had thrown away some of my early mobility there, like those hounds that were hiding here in the forest at the beginning. Should have just kept them hiding back there, and then once those Saurus broke from the center line, we could have used the hounds to then chase them off. You can see my zombies dropping their attack order. When a unit, you can tell when they drop their attack order when they kind of all bunch up in the center and then just stop like this. So I'm really hoping that this is a bug that gets patched in the next patch of Total War Warhammer, because it's cost me several battles. I haven't shown off any of them, but yeah, recently, especially over the past few days, it's cost me several battles where I definitely easily could have won, but because my units were dropping their attack orders and just dropping their movement orders and, you know, orders in general, I ended up losing. But this one, you know, JonTaun definitely beat me fair and square, no doubt about it. The build I brought probably could have been fine-tuned a little bit, although I do think that some of the tools that I have here just really don't perform in their intended role very well. Specifically, Blood Knights are just, oh, they're so bad for their cost. They're the most expensive elite tier cavalry in the game, and they objectively are worse than most other elite tier cavalry. Like, they're worse than Grail Knights, they're even worse than Chaos Knights with lances. I would say they're worse than Dragon Princes. They just really underperform in you know, in the intended situation. They don't have the AP to get through large dinos, and even when fighting against like armored infantry, they just really struggle to put out consistent damage. And in Total War Warhammer 2, there's a lot more heavy armor with the big armored dinos. Even the Skaven have big armored constructs, which I do have a discussion video coming up soon about some of the monster mashing, because I do think it's a pretty big problem right now in Total War Warhammer. I think it's probably the biggest issue in multiplayer right now for Total War Warhammer 2 is the monster mashing. So planning on making a video about that. You can see the Mortis engine now disintegrating. We have been able to drain away some of the Temple Guard, but at the end of the day it just wasn't enough. So yeah, well played to JonTaun. He's going to take round 1 there. And for those of you guys who are interested, who this is your first video from Shadow's tournament that you're watching, if you want to go watch the other games, he's got all of them on his YouTube channel, so I'll leave a link down in the description below. Yeah, at the end of the day, you know, the Blood Knights, they did okay. It just wasn't enough at the end of the day. In terms of fine-tuning things, I probably, in hindsight, should have cut the Banshee. I mean, if you're expecting a high Salon, not only is Tempest a big danger, but of course Arcane and Forging does quite a bit of single target magic damage, so it's good against ethereal units. So if that 850, I believe it is, for the Banshee without any abilities, if I had spent that on something else, maybe it would have had a different outcome. It's hard to say, but yeah, throwing away those hounds early on was pretty rough. It would have been really nice to have them in the late game to chase off some of these routed Saurus warriors. You can see all the Saurus and the Temple Guard just racking it up, chopping through the zombies as is expected. The Mortis engine was able to get 37 kills and 2 chevrons, pretty decent, but I needed it to do a little bit more. I just needed a little bit longer to hold out you know, maybe get a few more zombie summons or something, but it's tough in that late game situation. And with my Blood Knights just not putting out enough DPS to take down the dinos before they were able to get back and get healed, it ended up being backbreaking. I mean, they did some work, but just the AP on these guys is not enough. It needs to be higher for them to do their intended role. I mean, they struggle against Lizardmen right now. The only really good anti-large option you have is the Terrorgeist, and it's very, very predictable, especially against factions that can bring high magic. With Tempest, they can easily negate your Terrorgeist. Now, that being said, it probably, with 2 Terrorgeists and maybe some other flying units flying around, you know, the Tempest is somewhat limited, and with the regeneration from the Terrorgeist, maybe they could weather that storm. No pun intended, but it's tough to say. You know, I'd have to do some more testing and kind of theory crafting with builds and see what exactly is the most ideal way to go here. But the Blood Knights here, they did okay, but just not quite enough in the end. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you do like this kind of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thank you very much for watching once again, and we'll see you next time.